There are several words that describe Uncle Jim. First word is misunderstood. I want to do what I can to set the record straight about Jim. He was above all a loyal American patriot, and he was one of the good guys. Jim was misunderstood by his acquaintances, loved by those who knew him well, and hated by his enemies. He was irreverent. Jim was irreverent both to society and to organized religion. So we won't have a prayer tonight. Adventurous. Jim was adventurous. His exploits could fill a book, and they may just do that one day soon. Intelligent. Jim was one of the most intelligent men I have known. His mind was his greatest asset. Humorous. We all knew Jim's extremely sharp wit and his great ability. To hand out friendly insults. Most of us will miss him most for this. And he was kind-hearted. We all knew Jim's only his friends and family knew that Jim was too soft-hearted to refuse a stray animal. He even adopted a few stray humans. There are many other single words that describe Jim, but I will let you supply those words. Let me now tell you some of what I know of Jim's life. James Perry Minear. Some would say that it seems appropriate that Jim started life in Leavenworth. Leavenworth, Kansas, that is. He was born 8th of March, 1928, or 1927 if you see his Navy records. Jim's family, which included 8 older brothers and sisters, moved to Longview, Washington when he was 8 years old. As a boy, Jim experimented with electronics and earned money fixing radios for friends and neighbors. At the age of 16, Jim ran away from home. He was soon arrested for vagrancy in Tillamook, Oregon. There he set fire to the mattress in his cell. Does that sound like Jim? Once Jim returned home, his daddy cut off Jim's corner of the dinner table, broke Jim's plate, and enlisted Jim in the Navy. Of course, he had to lie about his age, and that's part of the confusion about Jim. Was he 61 or was he 62? But in 1944, the Navy wasn't so fussy. Jim became an aviation electronics technician, a brand new field in the Navy. He did so well that the Navy had to wait until he was officially 21, but really 20, to promote him to Chief Petty Officer. At that time, he was the youngest chief in the U.S. Navy. Jim went on to do pioneering work with the first atom bomb-carrying airplane to be launched from an aircraft carrier in the Navy. He left the Navy after 10 years' service in search of greater opportunities. North American Aviation, Autonetics Division was Jim's next challenge. There he wrote a pioneering theoretical treatise called A New Look at Terrain Avoidance. This was the beginnings of terrain-following radar, which is used today on our fighters and penetration bombers. Jim learned to fly in Corpus Christi, Texas in July 1947, where the challenge was not money for renting an airplane, but being able to scrape up enough money for gas to get to the airport. He crashed a J-3 Cub into a preacher's greenhouse one Sunday morning and broke every window. The preacher lost his religion that morning. Jim never had any religion. Jim was married May 11, 1946 to Marion. Everybody said it wouldn't last 6 weeks. That was 43 years this May. Jim went on to greater challenges. 1967, he got a patent for the moving message sign. You know, the kind you see on the Goodyear blimp. That's his. Then 1974, he was issued a patent on an automatic battery charger, the kind that you and I buy today. He supplied the electronics modules for those units to Shower and to Sears and Roebuck for several years. Of course, he got started on that by being resourceful. He was walking through a scrapyard one day and found 50 barrels of diodes, little electronic devices that don't mean much to most people. He bought them for $50 a barrel, hauled them home, and stored them in the living room. What else do you do when you have 6 kids? Where else do you put stuff? He then worked around those parts he had got for next to nothing, designed his electronic circuit for an automatic battery charger. Got the patent on it, made a good income off of those 17 barrels of diodes for a number of years. 1976, he got another patent that conserved battery life in a little bug sprayer. Maybe you remember these about 15 years ago. That every 5 to 15 minutes they would put out a squirt of either room deodorant or insecticide. Of course, he was shut down by that by our people at UC Irvine. Among other things, he had a TV repair business. He'd build a light show for cars that was hooked to the sound. He was into scrap electronics, reclaiming the gold off of electronics components when the price of gold ran up. And he even invented a rat chaser, electronic rat chaser. It didn't work, but it sold well. The guy bought and sold. You've seen all the airplanes, he said. One time he had a 137-foot ship called the Explorer. Beautiful wooden ship. After he sold that, he had a 198-foot ship called the Inaqua, an old banana boat. He traded that for an interest in a DC-3. He owned the DC-3, but he just ended up with a bunch of receipts from that and something like, I don't want to talk about it. He eventually got his money. Then there was the famous Bonanza that was hidden from hangar to hangar over the years.